We'd like to welcome you to the What Now Movement Virtual Business Summit. I, along with my co-founders, we are honored to have you watching and participating today. I am one of the co-founders. I'm Eric Twiggs. I'm your procrastination prevention partner. I'm the author of The Discipline of Now, and I'm the host of the 30-Minute Hour podcast.
And I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, educator, author, publisher, host of the I Am Dr. Sharon Show, and co-host of the VMP Inspiring Our Community podcast.
I'm Ted Fells, president and CEO of Nucor Vision. I'm a business strategist, co-host of the 30-Minute Hour podcast, and also a co-founder of the What Now movement.
This pandemic, it's hit you with an unexpected situation. What now? So you can see our vision of the What Now movement is to build high-performing authors, career professionals, and entrepreneurs who are prepared for life's unexpected curveballs, because the bottom line, this pandemic will pass. But in the future, there will be something else. There will be another crisis. We want to make sure that you are positioned to seize the opportunity in what appears to be an obstacle. You can see right in front of you, we've got our vision. We want to create this international community that we're working with. And you can see that what our core values are as well. So that's a little bit about the movement itself. So now we'll move forward as far as what today's agenda is going to look like.
Absolutely. We have, again, such a wonderful packed summit for you. If you missed the first one, you're in for a treat because we have dynamic speakers again. We're actually going to start today with our very own partner, Mr. Eric M. Twigg. His session is entitled The Discipline of Now, Your 5-Step Plan to Beat Procrastination. And then we have our first panel of the day, Leveraging Digital Platforms, a wonderful panel discussion with Nancy Waring, L. William Samuel, Sandra Harris-Pittman, and Michael Sherlock. Our next presenter is Dawn Marie Bornhammer. Her session is entitled Leading with Empathy. Our last panel and last session of the day is Fireside Chat with the Founders. Ms. Karen McConnell-Jones will be facilitating this wonderful panel discussion with the founders, Eric M. Twiggs, Dr. Sharon H. Porter, and Mr. Ted Fells.
Don't be fooled by the name, the hair color, or crazy shoes. Michael Sherlock is serious about business. She's dedicated to creating positive, productive, and profitable workplaces and helping individuals and businesses unlock their ultimate potential. A keynote speaker, trainer, author, and podcast host, Michael has over 25 years of experience delivering motivational speeches and training sessions to audiences worldwide. With a corporate background in leading rapid turnarounds and transforming organizations, she brings a record of success and expertise at the highest levels of global business. Before launching her global training company, Shock Your Potential, Michael was vice president of U.S. sales for 2 multinational medical device companies responsible for net revenue exceeding $75 million and as many as 500 employees at a time. In June of 2020, she releases the Shock Your Potential app, an on-demand training tool for leadership and sales professionals. Please join me in welcoming Michael Sherlock. F. William Samuel, he's an established author and serial entrepreneur hailing from East Orange, New Jersey. Dedicated to living his best life, making bold moves, and winning all the time. He is the host and producer of the long-running comedy show, Chocolate Thursdays, and F. William Samuel and Friends, every first Thursday of the month. As a former athlete, he comes to the stage strong, bringing 300 pounds of twisted steel and comedic prowess. with advice on topics ranging from relationships to church to fitness. Amongst his many accomplishments, you should know that he completed his first marathon on December 11th, 2016. The race started on December 1st. With absolutely no film credits unless you count YouTube and his mother's Betamax movies, F. William Samuel is here to entertain you. Please join me in welcoming F. William Samuel. Sandra Harris-Pittman is the owner and operator of Sandra's Next Generation Soul Food Restaurant in New Haven, Connecticut, and she has made all kinds of leveraging moves and pivots to take things to the next level. She's excited to share that with you. Last but certainly not least, we have Nancy Waring. She embarked on her fitness journey in 2008 at the age of 47 when she ran her first marathon. She is the founder of Fitness at Work in Baltimore, Maryland, with the mission to train and empower adults to lead a healthy lifestyle in order to prevent chronic lifestyle diseases such as high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and stroke. Nancy Waring.
What an exciting panel. We are ready to dive into this wonderful panel discussion, leveraging digital platforms. Eric has given these wonderful introductions, but we want to take the time to please allow you to introduce yourselves a little more. Just give us a little taste of who you are. Miss Michael Sherlock, we're going to start with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I always say that I own a global training company for leadership and sales professionals. And, that was really how I, have lived and breathed and described myself. But up until till COVID hit, 95% of my business income came from me getting on airplanes and traveling around the world to train companies, to train through organizations. So that has obviously changed. So I'm really excited to talk about what I'm doing, but it's an honor to be here. Oh, and my company's name is called Shock Your Potential. So that's why I say, I know I kind of stand out a little bit. And yes, this is on purpose. I have to keep adding a lot of blue to the roots until I can see my hairstylist again, but we're getting there.
Awesome. And we have Mr. William Samuel, whose name is William S. Parrish. I'll let you explain that. So please share who you are.
Hey, how are you doing? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. My name is William S. Parrish. I'm president and CEO of Noble Strategy Construction Management, but I'm an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs, I wear several different hats. I do produce comedy shows, and I can't talk. I was going to say I was a speech pathologist, but that's a joke. I am a stand-up comedian performing under the name F. William Samuel, which is really William Samuel, my first and middle name. And then the F is, fantastic, funny. I could come up with a couple other adjectives, but I won't really go into that right now. But being an entrepreneur, piloting my own ventures for over 15 years has taught me a lot. I've covered a lot of ground. I'm in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area. In terms of construction management, we've worked from New York and New Jersey to Philadelphia, Connecticut, and all the way down to Miami, Florida. A very, very successful venture. Probably at our height in 2009, we had probably 33 employees. And this COVID-19 has taught us a lot of lessons that we can reference back. So when things change, and we primarily work in public agency construction management, so you figure schools, municipalities, agencies, etc. But whether your business is essential or not, when the pandemic causes everyone to close, you're definitely affected, and you're going to have to employ some technology. So part of the reason I got into comedy, just to tell you, was stress relief. As a business owner, and we talk about mental health all the time. As a small business owner, you are challenged day in and day out with not only creating opportunities for yourself and generating revenue, but fighting. You fight with insurance companies, you fight with the tax authorities, you fight with clients sometimes to pay you on time. I've been on jobs where we've gone, 6-7 months without being paid. And I don't think that's unusual, unfortunately. It sounds really, really ridiculous. But when you work with some of these large agencies, they get tied up and sometimes funding gets stopped on projects, and it can take you all kinds of ways. By the way, please excuse my light. I am ring light impaired. I do not have a ring light, so I probably look like I'm sitting on the surface of the sun. But in any way, hopefully my video is clear and I'm coming through. So I can talk to you about comedy. We produced a successful show for 3 years, and we've had to go to technology in this format. And we just produced our first show yesterday, which was a drive-in stand-up show, which we called the Contactless Comedy Show, Don't Touch Me. And it was wildly successful. We had a ball. So I can talk to you about all those things.
And Miss Nancy Warren, if you can just briefly share a little more about who you are.
I want to say I was a speech pathologist. So my name's Nancy Waring. I have a business, Fitness at Work, but I did start out as a speech pathologist, and I worked a lot with adults. And I noticed around the time of retirement, so many people seem to have had strokes. And their dreams, they work so hard their entire life, and the high stress, the poor nutrition, the lack of exercise, I sort of guess that may have been contributing to why they had their strokes. And it made me so sad after a while, recognizing that they worked so hard for a future and a life that they never had. And how can I help to get people so that they can feel amazing today and do the right things to be their best version of themselves today, as well as in the future? So my business, I named Fitness at Work. And yes, that is corporate wellness, but also for me, fitness is having that energy and vitality for you to live that life you desire every day. And so for all of us, fitness is a little different. And I was a marathoner. At 47, I ran my first marathon. And it was amazing. I crossed that finish line. I'm like, damn, I could do anything I want. And growing up when I did, I just turned 60. So back years ago, women weren't really athletes or weren't encouraged to it. So that power came. And then I just worked myself into what I thought was health. And I may have been skinny, I may have been strong, but my immune system was shot. My energy was shot. So then sort of made me, from my own experience of doing what I thought was healthy, to really realizing health is having that energy and vitality. So, as we've come with COVID, I realized those people who I wanted to help are the ones that are most at risk now. And this digital platform is helping people to embrace and have opportunities of wellness that maybe they felt was eluding them at some other point. So I just want everybody to feel like rock stars every day.
Awesome. Can't wait to chat with you, Nancy. And last but certainly not least, Miss Sandra Harris-Pittman, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, for inviting me in this platform to really share my story. But yes, my name is Sandra Harris-Pittman. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, born and raised from New Haven, Connecticut. I have 4 beautiful children, 3 grandchildren. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, a grandmother. I wear many, many hats. I own a restaurant, Southern Cuisine, right here in the heart of Yale University. Been around for about 37 years. Just saw a vision at the age of 7 when my mom, growing up in a household, mom and dad, and they had 6 beautiful children, and just watching my mom able to keep a clean house every day and be able to cook a home cooked meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day. And at the age of 7, I just decided to really watch her moves every single day. And as when I got old enough to really get on that stove and start practicing, I did. And then, at the age of 17 and 18, I met the love of my life, my husband, and we have a totally different background. He was born and raised just a single mom. He was poor, and he discovered, he wanted more at life at the age of in the 3rd grade. He had that entrepreneur spirit, and I never forget. Out of nowhere, he said, "Honey," he said, "you cooking like this for the neighborhood. You cooking like this for the churches. Won't you start your own business?" And guys, we did in 1989, I tell people, we had $1,200. We had 2 children, no health insurance, but we had a lot of love and a big vision and a desire to want more in life. And, you know, we started our own business in the hood where most people would be afraid to even come there and purchase a dinner. And, you know, it's been 37 years. God has really blessed us with a 5-star restaurant, been on a cooking channel, started my own cooking show during this whole COVID thing, and just great things are just happening. You know, restaurant business is hard. You know, if you make it after 6 months, you're doing okay. So God has really, truly, truly blessed us, you know, being in the restaurant business.
Awesome, awesome. So guys, you see that we have a wealth of knowledge here in different backgrounds, which is so awesome. But the one thing in common, each one of these individuals have leveraged the digital platform, and that's what this panel discussion is all about. And so I'm going to start out with my question, just a general question, because this entire movement was birthed because of COVID-19. And so many of you have shifted and had to shift to survive to digital because of this. And so my first question is, in the midst of COVID, when you had to make a decision, okay, how am I going to continue, or what am I going to do to continue what I was doing? What was that deciding factor on how you would make that shift? And I'm going to ask Nancy to start first.
Well, I can actually say last year I started to make that shift to the digital platform because we saw that that was happening and that was coming, and it would help help individuals. And there are so many apps out there. I bet if I saw the hands of the audience, how many of you have ever used a fitness app? Probably everybody's going to shake their, raise their hand. How many of you have Fitbits or Apple Watches that are monitoring your heart rate and everything? Most people are going to say they're doing it, or how many steps. So people that already, I feel, we're starting to use some of these things digitally, but now we have to embrace it more and more and understand what this is saying about us. And it has been exciting to me. More people are now engaging in exercises than they were before. That I didn't expect as I talked to people about how COVID has impacted their health. And I love that people are exercising more. I have to talk to Sandra. So many people are saying they're not eating quite as well in the kitchen, but getting that balance. I love seeing that, and they're tracking it. There's more gamification as well in the digital space. And I'm just seeing more and more people, they love competing with their family members, with their friends, even though they're not like in that gym format, but different ways. So it's an exciting time for people. And so many people are saying now they want to continue that.
Yes, thank you. And Sandra, the shift for you really was a major shift. So please share with us about that deciding factor to make that shift.
Yes, our restaurant, I would say 85% is takeout. Our restaurant hold about 30 people. So when the COVID hit, which really nobody saw it coming, my husband and I, we didn't panic. We didn't panic at all. We're just so used to, after being in the business for 37 years and having your trials and tribulations and adversities, you just have to know how to, think quickly. And think outside the box. Okay, what do I need to do? Now, before COVID-19 hit, we didn't have online service. We had just got Uber Eats and Grubhub and those things about 6 months ago. But online service we did not have. It was just like at the blink of an eye, we had to make major shift in terms of, because what happened was, being that we was 85% restaurant, we didn't feel the effect. Our business really increased it went to 20. We have like 40% now. Where it's just it's a blessing and a curse, because you just like she mentioned about in terms of people eating habits. With the shift coming, we had to really again think outside the box. Okay, what do we do here? We took all the tables out, all the chairs out. We needed another steam table. We had to hire more people, which was the hardest thing to do, because so many people started collecting unemployment and people didn't really want to work. So one of the hardest things, which we still go on that phase now in terms of hiring people and keeping people. So just being able to think outside the box and just make things happen. I think today, this is just my way of thinking, is so many ways to create another stream income with digital. This now is the right time. Just like my cooking show, I started a cooking show because it's like certain things you're just like maxed out on at the restaurant. So many things, you want to do, because I believe in multiple streams of income. But I saw people struggling in terms of finances. I said, okay, what do I do to help people who are struggling like with finances? So that's when I came up with my cooking classes, which I held every single Tuesday. And it's a time to families to get together and know one another more, and do things more too, as well as a family, as a whole as well.
Yes, and William S. Parrish. And so I'm really interested to know about this. You are normally looking for stand-up. How did you make this shift to digital?
Well, let me just say first, I feel a strong connection with some of the panelists. As a fellow marathoner, I want to say to Nancy, you look great for 60 years old. Congratulations. And then I want to say to Sandra, congratulations on being an entrepreneur for 37 years. I know exactly how that is. And much power and strength to you and your business and your husband. I would just have to say that, the first question you asked was kind of what made you do it. And two things. They both are coined in the term survival. Number one, as an entrepreneur, one of the things I always say to people is, I have to go out and hunt for my food every day. Unlike some folks who work on a W-2 income, every 2 weeks the money is there in most cases. And even in this particular environment, they found themselves that might not be the case. So it's fairly definitive. But as an entrepreneur, you are all kind of in the mode and taught to, work for what you get. So in the pandemic scenario, oh, that's my wife. She wanted to say hello, but she just decided to walk across the screen. We do the comedy together sometimes too, so just for the people who didn't know that. So, I was forced to find a way to generate revenue. And that's what, I said, well, I love being in front of the people, getting on stage. And if you use some of these streaming software, et cetera, you can still get in front of the people and still, quote unquote, be on stage. And I'll come back to that in a second. The other thing that caused me to make the transition is when it first occurred, everybody was kind of restricted, and it felt like, wow, we can't do these shows anymore, and we can't give the people what they want or need. But what I realized very quickly was I needed it too. It wasn't just, if you're a performer or an artist, with some self-expression, it's not just what the crowd or audience is getting, it's what you get to express yourself also. And, producing comedy shows, no matter how much money is in it, is certainly better and cheaper than therapy. So it's my on-screen therapy. I get to go on stage and talk about issues that affect me, issues that are relevant, timeliness issues, and just how I'm feeling, but make them into jokes and opportunities to add some levity to the situation. And with everything that's going on, recession, pandemic, civil unrest, election year, we really, really need levity in our situation. So it was a natural for me to find a way to generate income and use streaming media. We did a show, we went from a once a month format comedy to once a week. And it did several things. It drew in another group of folks who were interested, number one. Number two, it kept us relevant. And number three, it allowed me to practice. If you're a performer, an artist, and you're on stage in front of people, especially in comedy, timing is everything, and stage presence and awareness is everything. And when you don't get a chance to get up on stage, you get rusty, you lose that. So me being in front of folks on Zoom, and we had a couple of creative formats. We actually created a comedy, a birthday roast, a comedy birthday roast where you get 40 or 50 of your friends together, and people are just doing drive-by parades for birthdays. We wanted to add more to that. So you get your friends together, we set you up with a Zoom for 40 minutes with a host and a comedian, and we tell jokes about you and with you, and we had a bunch of fun. So being able to reach people gave them the connection we wanted, but it also gave us the outlet that we felt we needed as well, and an opportunity to generate some money.
Wow. Michael, your shift.
Yeah, I just love your story too. That's such a great way to think creatively in a moment where, if we don't, we are going to become irrelevant. And I was thinking about, I was listening to a little bit of Eric's talk before, we joined this. And of course, I love everything he says. We chat often. And I was thinking about procrastination because I had wanted to do what I'm doing now for the last couple years. And I was working with kind of a business partner on this, and it really wasn't going anywhere. And finally, I kind of divorced myself of that business relationship in February. And then, as I'm still thinking and procrastinating, life had a shift. So when I have my whole business, which has required me to get on airplanes and go travel around the world, can't do that. I had to, well, first I felt sorry for myself, had a little moment where and then I said, okay, so what are you going to do? How are you going to capitalize on this? And I knew that having training on an app was the path that I wanted to take, but now I had to do it. And so I immediately began working with another company to find the right venue. And so I have an app, actually, it is actually released. It's in its last final approval right now with Apple and Google, called Shock Your Potential. But what the key for me is that I had to have the biggest mind shift to say my business to this point has been business to business. So I would work trying to, like William, you're talking about going out and having to find new business all the time. My business was with business companies that were going to hire me or organizations that wanted me to speak at their conferences. So if I'm going to now bring my training to an app, what does that mean? And it made my shift to business to consumer. And that's where my following is anyway. So I already have, 17,000 followers on LinkedIn, for instance. So I have this, whole platform that I've never leveraged before in the same way. And I was always searching after, the next business. And I'm not going to lie, I had a great thing going with Nike right at the end. I was going to work with all their global IT leadership around the world. And, everything falls apart and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Well, now I know that I can reach people directly and have more of a buffer so that, if nobody calls me to stand on a stage for 2 years, which I think is going to be about the time, then I not only have an income source, but I can directly reach the people that were already following me that might not have ever seen me on a stage. So now it changes how we're revamping our podcast, how we've revamped the YouTube channel that everything's in motion right now. So it's funny that now I look back and I think that day that I felt sorry for myself because I had a great year, actually I had a great 18 months lined up of amazing programs, that after I was done feeling sorry for myself, the creativity that had been hampered down by, the process of just doing what I'd always done has exploded in my mind. And now I see so much more possibility that if I never get on an airplane again to go speak, I'll not only have a great company, but I have so much more than I ever had before. I think through all these situations so differently. So it's not easy, and the money hasn't come in fully yet. There's still money going out. But now I see it in such a different way. And listening to each of your stories, I can see too the same spark, like that moment where you're like, okay, I don't like this, but what am I going to make of it? And how is it going to impact others as well as help my own business?
That's good. So question I have is, because a lot of our followers, they want to make the shift. They want to leverage digital platforms, but they're saying, you know what? I'm not a techie. I'm not that person. So let's talk. I'll go to Nancy. So what advice do you have for that person that says, you know what, I'm not a techie. It's going to be hard for me to make that transition?
That's a tough question, Eric. I was hoping I wouldn't be the first one to go. They have to start where they feel comfortable. So even if you're not a techie, you're talking about the fitness space, you could go onto YouTube and just check out videos to get you to move. If you were part of a gym, reach out to them and find out what they're providing, what type of online platforms that they may have. There are so many different types of apps and applications. What's the most important thing, though, is to make sure that you keep moving. And if you haven't been moving, it's getting people to move. I mean, I have to be honest, for myself, I don't use a lot of the technology. I use some of it. So part is exploring and finding out what you're most comfortable with.
Okay.
We just get started.
That's good. And then I'll redirect us back to Michael, because I know you've gone to this online training. I mean, same question. What advice do you have for that person?
Well, I'm so glad that, that I was forced into something different, because then I started researching, well, how do I build my own app instead of hiring somebody to build it from scratch? And I'll tell you what, there are a ton of companies out there that have drag and drop apps that are just all the backdrop is already done. All you have to do is add your content. And so if anybody's interested in what I do, I'd be happy to share some information. So just send me michael@shockyourpotential.com, and it's just like a man's name. But just figure out where you want to be. But then you have to say, okay, what am I committed to in terms of making this technology work for me? And I'm just going to show a little prop here. So hopefully I won't blind anybody. But speaking of lights, it's not my lightsaber, but like my office now has become completely different. I've moved my desk. I have different props in the back. I have 2 ring lights back here, a third one I just bought that's bigger. I have another one of those things, because I keep working with people to say, how is this visually? I do different things in different parts of my office, part of my, whether it's YouTube or the podcast. And so as I'm doing it, I'm trying to be as great in the space as possible, because the more we present visually, that everybody's like, what's back there? And I'm like, I always say, that's the yoga dog. That's my little yoga dog statue. And I like things that are quirky, that make people interested enough that they might see that I have my 2 books in the back. And so as you're leveraging technology, think about how many ways things can connect to each other, because if you connect it always to keeping them engaged with you and back to your business, you will get people who want to see what's next. So it might be something as simple as, I may put a different picture on the wall just because I want to throw people off a little bit and keep them engaged in the technology. It's too easy to get even distracted by technology. So our physical and emotional presence still means something in that. So it's how you find the balance between. But in terms of the technology, there's plenty out there. Reach out to people who are leveraging it and saying, what are you doing? How are you doing it? There's a certain app that I use that tapes more like actual film quality. And so, there's so many different things that I didn't know 3 months ago. And now they really, you wouldn't know sometimes the things that I'm producing isn't coming out of a TV, studio.
Wow. Now that would be, I need to talk with you offline to get.
I'll share. If anybody wants to email me, I will share anything. It might be an extra little interesting video, but that's, it's fun.
Ted, we're about to step up our game on the 30-minute hour.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You often hear people talk about when are we going back to normal, right? Like have you all thought about what is normal gonna be? Is it gonna be normal like it was before, or is it gonna be some hybrid of what you're doing now? Maybe I'll start with you, Sandra, on that question.
My husband, my business partner for 37 years, again, we always think outside the box. And when you've been in, experiencing different adversities in your life and trying to survive, just like William says, you just, in order to make it, I think that the way we're going is digital. And so with this whole COVID-19, it only allows us 5 people in our restaurant at a time, opposed to having several at a time. So that's when, my daughter, who's, she's good at marketing. And again, we just had to make these major shifts in terms of, okay, what do we do next? I'm not computer savvy like that as well, but we utilize the internet and how we can still draw people, into our restaurant. We had to go buy, my husband purchased these huge storage bins to make another place for our staff to do prepping. So, it's so many ways, but just like you say, you have to be creative. You have to almost, just like you say, you're forced to do these things if you want to survive. you're forced to do these things if you want to make things happen. And it's not easy, but success is hard, and we just got to work through all the adversity, because at the end of the day, I know that there's going to be a light for a lot of people at the end of the tunnel, but we just got to keep on moving. Don't complain. Just how do we do it? Just like we say, we have social media. The person just need to type in, oh, I have such and such business. How do I get my business out there? People are going to answer that question. I believe in the law of attraction. I believe in speaking affirmations in my life every single day. So we can't use words I can't. It's how can I? What do I need to do? Just like this movement, the What Now movement. And people just need to know, and just align yourself with the right people. And I promise anybody that it will happen.
Michael, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that same question.
I just feel like as you're talking, I just want to say amen. It's mindset does matter, because when we keep ourselves in that positive frame of mind, William, you're talking about like, I need to do my comedy. That's my therapy, and that's all of us who are entrepreneurs. We have something inside of us that has to come out. So when we say it has to come out, then the question is how. And I don't think we will ever see a normal like we had before, but I don't think that's bad. We're going to interact with each other differently. We are going to communicate differently. We are going to look at our businesses differently, because we are forced to think, okay, not only what can we do, but what might else happen, and how can I prepare for it now? And so I just see there's nothing but opportunity as long as we see it as opportunity.
Thank you. Nancy, your thoughts on that?
I think this provides us a chance to become exceptional. Coming from the background as a speech pathologist, and you think about things being normal, and I've never thought about myself being normal or anybody else, but now we're being forced. And it's making us get outside of our comfort zone. And for myself personally, it just brought this drive inside going, oh my gosh, I haven't accomplished those goals and that purpose that I have for myself, and in to bring it out to the world. And to me, that becomes exceptional. We're all going to step outside and bring more of our gifts. And I've got a deep spiritual sense, and they say that we're like 99% of like empty space in our body. And I honestly think that that's like God in us, and it's what we're filling in our body and in our mind so that we can bring it out and truly be exceptional. And this is providing us an opportunity to go, you know what, that's not necessarily who I wanted to be. I was trying to be somebody everybody else wanted me to. And again, we can all be exceptionals and to give something back to those around us.
Wow.
And last but not least, William.
Let me just say, you had me feel a little concerned for a minute, man. I was over here feeling like Reby Jackson trying to get on stage, man, because I was feeling a little frozen out of stage time there for a minute on the panel, man. So, because Reby Jackson is a fighter, man, and I'm a fighter too. So I'll get through, But you had me a little worried. Let me just say to Michael, I love people with interest in hair. I love your hair, and your screen looks great. Your ring lights are winning. And I appreciate you. I'm just glad that no one on the call, with the exception of the host, are using virtual backgrounds, because virtual backgrounds typically mean folks don't really clean up after themselves. I did a show one time where a guy had a virtual background, and I had to look and study, and I'm saying, man, I didn't realize they had Wi-Fi at the men's shelter, because it was just a mess back there. But in any event, to answer your question, Ted, when are we going to get back to normal? I was going to hold out until we got Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. That was supposed to be a long time from now. But in this politically charged environment, we might get Harriet Tubman on a $20 bill by Tuesday, number one. And then we might get Tupac on the $10 bill by Friday. And if we get Tupac on the $10 bill, we can get Peabo Bryson on the $5. And who's going to be on the $1 bill? Reby Jackson. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think we're going to, at least in my business, live comedy. We did our first drive-in show last night. It was amazing. And the folks enjoyed it. And I was surprised people actually got out of their cars. Some people brought lawn chairs and they wanted to sit out. But it was just a live venue. But we're still very nervous about mingling, I think, culturally. And I had said to myself, I wouldn't be prepared or interested in doing really live comedy the way we used to do it in a club setting with people packed in till like the first quarter of 2021. So I'm working on a Black History show right now for February 2021. And I think maybe by then, depending on what happens with the second wave, folks will be comfortable enough to it has nothing to do with the mandates and executive orders and the shelters in place. It's behavior. And folks' behavior are going to dictate what happens. And we've just seen this movie before and know how it ends. And we just can't afford to take any chances. So I think business is going to always be different, but I'm glad for the folks who have transitioned to a technology platform, because I believe that's going to sustain your business in the future. And no matter what you were doing before, maybe it was 5% or 10% of your business. I think now we know that at the very least, if we can have dual paths and make it at least 50% of what we do, how we generate, how we show up, we're going to be in good stead.
Awesome. And I know that one of our panelists, Sandra Pittman, she does a brunch on Saturday, so I know she has to go. So I just wanted to ask you just one last question, Sandra, before we let you go. You actually, from the cooking show that you created in COVID-19, you actually just recently purchased an entire another building specifically for that. And that's huge, because something that you never, thought you would be doing, you've actually expanded on that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Actually, it was something that, just like most everybody in the panelists said, things they wanted to do and wanted to happen. You just didn't know when it was going to happen. And I could honestly say, through this whole COVID-19, this pandemic, a lot of things that I had in my mind and desired to do and spoke in my life, I didn't know when it was going to happen. Everything just happened like a short period of time in terms of the cooking channel. That was something that, I was trying to, put together and actually make it happen for a very long time. And that's just flourishing. I have children ranging from 10 years old all the way up to 50 and 60 years old, just teaching them, the basics in terms of how to cook. And then the opportunity for me to pay cash for this building is just like, oh my God, these dreams are really coming true. And I just like to just inspire people, let people know that, there's hope. And I really didn't think, just like everybody say, right now it's an opportunity to really get your business out there. You just got to, figure it out, be in line with the right people. And just like you said, I don't see where the way it's looking now in terms of my business, like things going back to normal. So right now, my husband and I, my family, my 4 children, we are prepared, for whatever happened, meaning that, more storage space, more digital, having people order online. And, when you get here, it's already ready, because again, I'm limited to how many people that I could bring into my restaurant, but I'm not limited to how many people that can actually come and order online service. So I'm just really grateful. I wish the best for each and every one of you guys. It's so nice to meet each and every one of you guys. I don't take moments like this for granted. I don't care if there's one person that listened to this show right now that needed to hear this voice or hear one of our stories and let them know, you know what, I can do this. If they could just pick one thing, we're doing something. I just think that we all, every single one of us, are at a place in our life and just have an opportunity to really share our business. I wish each and every one of you guys the best. I'm telling you, just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. You're right there. So Sharon and other ones, really thank you for allowing me to share my story on your platform.
Thank
you. I'm going to go make this brunch now.
Before you go, Sandra.
Yep.
Before Sandra goes, I just wanted to share that I was on the Cooking 2 show, also another connection we have. I was an extra and they hired me as eater.
Wow.
I love it. Comedian for real. Thank you, Sandra. We will be sure to put your information out there. But before you go, just give your address for those of you who are in that area or who will be traveling to the New Haven area.
Yes. And as a matter of fact, we have people really traveling, from all over the place now. Sandra's Next Generation in New Haven, Connecticut. The address is 636 Congress Avenue in New Haven, Connecticut. Again, we're right here in the heart of Yale University. great food, good comfort food as well.
Thank you
So
so
check
much.
out the website.
All
Thank you
right.
for being here.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Great, guys. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Eric because we only have a few more minutes just to ask your final questions.
Yeah, so my final question relates to social media. I know now with this new normal, you have to be more dependent on social media. I just want to go around the horn and see, like, what is your favorite platform and why? And we'll start with F. William Samuel, William S. Parrish, since he felt like Reba Jackson from the last time. F. William, what is your favorite platform?
Hey, man, the one I love the best is Cash App. $ making bold moves, Cash App. That's the way that people really get in touch with you. You know, I mean, we can communicate and we can touch base, but if they really want to get in touch with you, they're going to Cash App you. But I do a lot of promotions and advertising on Facebook for the older crowd because the younger folks are on Instagram. I spend some time on Instagram also. And, you know, it's a big deal now. Even, you know, you can commercialize your followers. You know, I don't do a whole lot with comedy on LinkedIn. It just feels a little different in terms of the business. But I'm also on LinkedIn as an author and an adjunct professor at NYU for 14 years. So my opportunities and streams are variable. But yeah, Cash App is the one I like the best.
Cash App. All right. Michael?
I have my primary area is on LinkedIn. So that's where I early on, you know, really made my mark. I have a really tough strategy in terms of how many connections I'm making, who I'm connecting with, and who's connecting with me. It's been 4 years of hard work to get to 17,000 followers, but I plan to be at 20,000 by September. But that's where, you know, I have created people who follow me. So it's been the best. I also then found Hootsuite, so that I have somebody who manages my social media in other ways. So she manages it on the Twitter feed and on the business LinkedIn page. So there's certain things that I do that I only want to touch, but I have her manage everything else. In fact, when we're done today, I have to approve all the social media posts for the upcoming week. But that allows us to keep sane and really see how we're growing, because we have a different strategy for every one of our social media accounts.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Hootsuite is for that. Some of the entrepreneurs watching this now, like, oh, I don't have time for all this social media stuff. But that's a great tool to help manage that and automate that process. So thanks for bringing that up. And then Nancy, what about you?
I've primarily been using Facebook and a lot of Facebook Lives. And that way I'm getting a lot more people who are not just following me, but asking questions. And I don't realize how much I'm helping people till I don't do the Facebook Lives. And they're like, where are you? So Facebook Live's been a little strange because you never know who's really there or not. But that's what I've been using primarily at this particular point in time. And I'm just starting to work on my YouTube channel. So I'm sort of probably a little bit behind where everybody else is in this social media, and really using that to optimize my business and my platform and reaching the most people.
Awesome.
I really noticed that during this pandemic and using the digital platforms, how much more efficient I've been able to be, as far as the time to coordinate meetings and get people together. Just like a session like this, of getting people from all over the country together is much easier, than it has been in the past. So just wanted to get you all your thoughts. I'll start with you, Michael, on just how these digital platforms has allowed you to be much more efficient.
Well, one of the things that I got kind of some grief from fellow speakers in the beginning was that I just said, if anybody needs me to do a virtual conference or presentation, whatever, I'm going to do it and I'm not going to charge you. And I did have pushback from fellow speakers saying, well, then we're going to dilute what we're doing and we're not going to get paid. And I get that. But, at the same time, trying to demand, a hefty fee when we don't have the same situations is, I have a tough time with that. But what it did is it opened up my mind to how much more powerful it is to do things like this, to expand what I do with my podcast. In fact, I'll put a word out that, if people want to talk about their business, I'd love to have you on my podcast. And so we're pushing out we're pushing out one every day now, and was not doing that before. So we're recycling old things and bringing them back in. But the conversations, to your point, have been much greater. I think much more well thought out. And so as I'm trying to, expand what I do, I'm reaching more people. And are all of them coming in to hand me, something through the Cash App? No. But now that I have a product through my app that will be able to do that, the more that I've reached out, the more people that surround me that I hadn't thought of before, or that I just wasn't tapping the same way. And so I believe, like we've all talked about, in abundance. And I know that the more abundance I have, the more it's going to come back and benefit me. So I've just been riding that wave of be as visible as possible in as many places possible, because if you have the right message, then people want to talk to you.
Nancy, your thoughts on that question?
A little bit more efficient. It's just been a little different for me because I really missed out on some of those social type of connections. But I have found that it's helping me to sort of build my business. I've only been in business for 5 years, and it's just helping me to, particularly in my messaging and being consistent in my messaging, because it's allowed me a lot more platforms and opportunities, such as this wonderful platform and your podcast, to be able to bring out that message and to touch more people and to get more feedback, to find out how I can really optimize how I can help other people. In terms of the fitness space, we just have to be aware that we're getting bombarded by so much information that I find that's been a challenge for people. It's a little different than your question, and we need to sometimes filter everything out so that we can just bring in what's really going to resonate with us.
No, thank you.
Awesome.
Mr. Parrish, your thoughts on that question?
Yeah, I would say definitely more efficient. The travel budget is virtually zero. It's been greatly reduced, but now you got to spend on technology. As a matter of fact, I appreciate this platform, and I'm committed this Juneteenth weekend to purchase a real ring light. That's what I'm going to do. So, you guys don't know the impact that you have on people, and everything makes a difference. Before we were in the quote unquote, what we were thinking as normal pre-COVID-19 was we had to be doing stuff. We had to be places. We had to show up, and we've been hearing content is king for a very long time. We've been learning that technology breaks down distance and causes you to be global. And this is indication of that. You can reach so many more people globally through the use of technology. And if we weren't thinking about it before, maybe because your business wasn't structured like that, I think a lot of people have been forced into thinking that way, and I think it's a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise, because now you're able to do more with less and reach not only new audiences, but more people, and that's significant, and it's really, really done through technology.
An impressive panel today. We want to end by allowing you to please share where people can connect with you. Where can they find your podcast? Where can they find your comedy show? Where can they get fit with you, Nancy? So please share your contact information. Michael, if you would please start.
Oh, sure. You betcha. So my business site is shockyourpotential.com. And so that has links to almost everything. And then within the next, you can probably look up Shock Your Potential in the App Store right now and find it. I don't know if it's all set up exactly right, but it's definitely on the radar there. And then all my social media handles are all on the website. So
awesome.
Connect away.
Thank you, William S. Parrish.
Yes, follow me on Instagram at F William Samuel Comedy. That's all one word, F William Samuel Comedy. We have a YouTube channel, F William Samuel Comedy. And of course, Facebook is F William Samuel Comedy. And we have a Chocolate Thursdays comedy night with F William Samuel group page as well. And I wouldn't want you to forget Cash App, $, Making Bold Moves. So those are most important, and those are the best ways to get me. I want to thank you, Dr. Porter, for moderating this program, and thank Brother Twigs and Fells again for just creating a platform that allows us to exchange like this and communicate. And it's very, very worthwhile discussion. I'm glad I would have the opportunity to be part of this. Thank you again.
Thank you. And Nancy.
I want to agree with so much what William just said at the end. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It is fabulous, and it's great what you're doing and sharing with the community. And I'm so excited to see the growth in this organization. Probably the best way to get a hold of me, my email is nancy@fitnessatworkmd.com. I have a website, and that's fitnessatworkmd.com. You can also find me on Facebook. There I do more exercises. And on Instagram, people think I'm a foodie. So depending on whether you want exercise, that's better for Facebook or Instagram at Fitness at Work, or more of those recipes and healthy eating.
Awesome. The wonderful leveraging digital platforms. We thank you guys so much, and we look forward to you being very active in the What Now movement group and also doing some other connecting. So we thank you.